Hello, I'm Raquel Garcia, and I read Carla Gardiner Pestana's article, The Quaker Executions as Myth and History, found in a Journal of American History. Carla Gardiner Pestana's position is that both Quakers and Puritans have attempted to revise their history over time, specifically in regards to the Massachusetts Bay Colony execution of 4 Quakers from the years of 1659 to 1661. Those Quakers were William Robinson, Marmaduke Stevenson, Mary Dyer, and William Ledra. And she states that the Puritans have attempted to revise their history, and this is what she says. In rewriting the history of the Quaker executions over the half century after the Restoration, the Society of Friends provided itself with a mythic past appropriate to its current concerns. By the late 17th century, the events in Boston, having been reworked for their symbolic potential, had incalculable significance for the self-image of the sect. On the most fundamental level, the deaths of the 4 witnesses provided Friends with a heroic history that could inspire subsequent generations. As the confrontation came to be presented, it supported the testimony of pacifism and the trend within the sect towards quietism. Revised accounts of the events in Boston distanced the sect from the aggressive acts and violent language of the first witnesses. The heroes of this history served as proper role models, for they were presented as exemplary friends, dedicated yet quiet, inspired to great acts yet humble. And so much has been written on these two groups of people. Madeline Ward wrote about the final days of William Robinson, what he said in her book, Transformative Faith and the Theological Response of the Quakers and the Boston Executions, that he said, "This is the day of our visitation, wherein the Lord had visited. This is the day the Lord is risen in his mighty power to be avenged on all his adversaries. I suffer for Christ, in whom I live and for whom I die." William Robinson. And so on the side of the Quakers, they did have some aggressive words that they used, and they would speak judgments and prophecies towards people that were against them or did not convert. And there are letters as well that were written to magistrates and ministers with that kind of language. On the side of Puritans, they rewrote. This is what she says about their history. The Puritans were forced to take up a defensive position in order to fend off the increasingly effective Quaker attacks on their self-image. After early attempts to justify the executions by castigating the Quakers, the New Englanders eventually limited themselves to trying to discredit the Quaker version of events. And so what has happened, and you can look in the records, the court records, Nathaniel Bradstreet kept as governor, you can see the escalation of the laws that they implemented in regards to the controlling the Quakers. And the first one was on June 11th, they had a day of humiliation to seek the face of God on behalf of their native country, because they were concerned about the doctrine that the Quakers were bringing in. They then on October 14th, there's a whole lot of different laws that were passed. People that had even brought Quakers on their ships, captains, they were fined, even for bringing books and writing. Quakers were whipped and put into the house of correction if they were found. If you defended a Quaker, you were fined. You also, if you concealed a Quaker, you'd be fined. Quakers were imprisoned. Women who had 3 times been found speaking out Quaker beliefs were to have their tongues bored through with a hot iron and put in prison. And then on October 19th is when we really see the culmination of this escalation, and it says, "The actions undermine the authority of civil government and destroy the order of the churches. They are to be apprehended with a warrant, prisoned without bail, given a legal trial, and then receive banishment upon pain of death." And so there's the escalation between those two groups. Thank you and have a great day.